In this video, we're going to be talking about how you could be living in your home for free without renting. Let's get started. So I had gotten the idea for this video from an acquaintance of mine. She had just recently sold her home after living in it for about a decade or so. And she told me that after she sold it, she made so much profit that profit was actually, what she sold it for was more than what she paid total monthly. And then she said, technically that means I lived in that home for free. So when I heard this, I was like, wait a second. Let's analyze this and let's figure out, if this is something we can replicate and something that's actually true. Because if this is true, a lot of homeowners are living in their homes for free and not even realizing it. For the sake of this experiment, we have to make some assumptions. We'll assume that I've got a 30-year fixed-rate mortgage, 5% down, with an interest rate of about 4%, which is lower than current rates at the time of this recording. I know, it's hard out there right now, but for the sake of the experiment, we want to assume a relatively normal rate during a normal real estate market. We'll also assume an annual appreciation rate of about 4% as well. We'll also assume taxes will go up 3% per year, and homeowners insurance will also go up about 3% per year. We are also going to forsake the cost of utilities because you have to pay those anyway, usually, whether you're renting or buying. So we're going to take those out of the equation. We're also going to assume that we're only making the minimum monthly payments with no extra to principal paydown. Now let's pick a home that's currently on the market. We'll go for a normal home around the median size and median price for my area. And we won't go for a fixer-upper. We'll go for a normal, finished, turnkey, move-in ready home. So let's go with this one. A 3-bed, 2-bath house in what I would consider an average, desirable neighborhood with a list price of $599,000. So our monthly payment turns out to be $3,650. And then we have to add $237 a month for our PMI, private mortgage insurance. So that's a total of $3,880 per month. And we'll also say that PMI falls off after about 5 years due to home appreciation. So running these numbers on a mortgage calculator, I could say right off the bat that there is no way you are even close to breaking even at the start of in the earlier years of your mortgage, which makes sense because when you think of how compounded gains grow, they don't grow in a linear fashion. They grow in a parabolic fashion. So it makes sense that in the earlier years, you wouldn't be very close to breaking even. You would be losing money at that point. And not to mention, at the start of your mortgage, most of your payment is going towards interest. So it makes sense that you're nowhere close to breaking even yet. However, over time, that gap between loss and profit really starts to decrease very, very quickly. This is because the total purchase price of the house, aka the market value, gets a compounded increase over time, getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Meanwhile, your debt does not increase in value over time. Inflation works in your favor in this regard, and your debt only goes down in value. So according to our calculator, after 30 years, your total monthly payments would add up to $1,537,000. And your house would be worth $1,976,000. So on paper, this argument actually holds water, right? Not quite. So when you go to sell this property on the open market, you must pay closing costs again, this time on the seller's side. This amount can vary depending on where you live, but here in New York, it's safe to say that you're going to pay around 9% of the purchase price in closing costs total. Not to mention, anyone who's owned real estate for long enough definitely knows things break. And especially after 30 years, we're looking at some big ticket items that need to be repaired. These things include the roofing, gutters, sewer lines, septic tanks, cesspools, hot water heaters, paint, flooring, remodels, Appliances like refrigerator, laundry machines, ovens, dishwashers, microwaves, furnaces/boilers, oil tanks, plumbing and electrical problems, air conditioners, pest control, landscaping, chimney maintenance, and much more that you probably could never imagine. Over the span of 30 years, these repairs can cost tens of thousands of dollars, especially when considering that some of them have to be replaced multiple times. So if we play this conservatively, and let's say you spent around $50,000 in repairs over the span of 30 years, couple that with our 9% in closing costs, we get a true selling cost of $1,750,000. When compared to how much we paid in total monthly payments, I actually profited a total of $211,000, which is actually equivalent to $586 a month over the span of 30 years. Now I can already hear some viewers saying,
"But Rob, that's only if you actually sell the house you're gonna get that money. What if you don't sell and wanna stay put?"
But this isn't entirely true. While it is true that your money is trapped in equity, that doesn't mean you didn't profit. The right to live in that home, with that square footage, that number of rooms, and that location for only the price of property tax and homeowners insurance is actually worth the purchase price or market value of the home as it is now. So in other words, the right to live mortgage-free where you are in that size is worth the market value of the home. So while you're not necessarily seeing all of that money in your pocket right now, that money is still going to work staving off the cost of housing, which is still saving you money, believe it or not. Now, one argument that does make sense is the opportunity cost of your monthly payments. In other words, what else you could have done with that money while it's tied up in equity. And my response to that is, yes, that's correct. It's true. If you were to invest all of that money into the S&P 500 or the NASDAQ or wherever, where you get consistent returns year over year, yes, you would inevitably make more money. That over the span of 30 years. Yes, that is true. But the unfortunate fact is that, as a human being, you have to live somewhere. So if you are completely okay with living in your mom's basement or living somewhere else for free and investing all of that money, yes, then it makes more sense to do that. But unfortunately, you do have to live somewhere. So if you are going to live somewhere, might as well get paid to live somewhere or very cheaply. Now we can't go any further without recognizing the fact that we made some very key assumptions in this study here. Those key assumptions are actually what make the study flawed. So we assumed that we had a matching interest rate to our appreciation rate. But appreciations are different in every market. Not every market appreciates, at 4%. Some don't appreciate at all. Some appreciate more than that, like around 6%. And rates also vary depending on when you locked in. It all depends on what the 10-year treasury bond is doing. So in the scenario with my acquaintance, it worked out very well for her, even though she wasn't in the property for 30 years, because she had a lot of things going for her in her favor. One of which is that she lived in New York City. Very high appreciation rate of around an average of 6% over the past, 20 years or so. On top of that, in recent years, we've seen an abnormal appreciation rate in all real estate, as high as 20%, 11%, and 6%, all consecutively. And unfortunately, our local area has not seen that much of a correction since rates have gone up. Not to mention, believe it or not, real estate can go down. So there can be a period where you buy real estate and you're underwater, meaning you actually lost money buying the thing and the house is worth less than what you owe on it. That can happen. So for this live for free scenario to be as true as possible, you need all of the following in your favor. You need your interest rate as low as possible. You need your appreciation rate as high as possible. You need to keep your repair costs as low as possible. Minimal spending on things that don't add value to the home. Your timing of when you get in and when you get out of the market. And you're in a position to take advantage of the tax benefits by being able to itemize and having it be more than the standard deduction. So even if all these things are in your favor, why does the phrase, if you live in real estate, it's a burden, but if you provide real estate to others, it's an asset? Why does that statement hold true? And why do people like Grant Cardone say that owning real estate to solely live in it is stupid? And these statements are also all very true, because to us investors, even if you are technically living for free in your home, that's not enough. Us investors want to be paid for living in our own home, not just breaking even or only making a teensy little bit. This is why I'm a big advocate for house hacking, which I explain in some of my other videos or videos yet to come. House hacking, long story short, you live in the home while renting out the other portions that you aren't using. So examples of this can be you live in one section of a multifamily while renting out the other, renting out the rooms that you aren't using, renting out storage space, or even renting out your garage to someone for parking. This would ideally cover your whole mortgage, but there are some scenarios when it can't, and it would still cover your interest, taxes, and insurance, allowing you to get the home's appreciation basically for free, and your money is all going towards principal paydown, basically you paying yourself. And it's also a win-win situation because you're providing affordable housing to those who need it. I hope you appreciate the perspective I give in this video. If you do, please leave a like and subscribe, and leave a comment down below telling me what kind of content you would like to hear from me. That's the end of the video. Hope you guys have a good one, and always keep advancing. Hoorah! You only get down. So bad. I hope you appreciate this perspective.